Question 1. During the evaluation of a new sales outreach campaign using HubSpot sales software, a sales representative is deciding how to leverage email automation. They have a large list of potential leads and want to maximize efficiency. Which of the following strategies best balances effective sales messaging with ethical and compliant communication practices? Option A. Utilizing a template-based email approach where only the prospect's name is inserted, sending the same core message to all leads regardless of their industry or expressed interests, and relying on a standard company footer for opt-out. Option B. Sending a series of highly personalized emails to each lead, triggered by specific actions or demographic data, ensuring each message offers tailored value and includes clear opt-out options. Option C. Implementing a fully automated, generic email sequence that blasts the same sales pitch to every lead on the list, with a single, hard-to-find unsubscribe link at the very bottom. Option D. Focusing exclusively on phone calls and voicemails, bypassing email entirely to avoid any potential issues with email deliverability or spam filters, even for leads who may prefer email communication. The correct answer is B. Sending a series of highly personalized emails to each lead, triggered by specific actions or demographic data, ensuring each message offers tailored value and includes clear opt-out options. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the efficiency of automated communication with the ethical and regulatory imperative of providing personalized and relevant outreach. Sales professionals must navigate the fine line between leveraging technology to scale their efforts and ensuring their communications are not perceived as intrusive, irrelevant, or misleading, which could violate consumer protection regulations and damage the company's reputation. Careful judgment is required to select communication strategies that are both effective for sales and compliant with established guidelines. The correct approach involves a strategic blend of automation and personalization, underpinned by a deep understanding of the prospect's needs and engagement history. This approach prioritizes delivering value through tailored messaging, which is ethically sound as it respects the prospect's time and interests. From a regulatory perspective, this aligns with principles of fair and transparent communication, avoiding deceptive practices by ensuring that automated outreach is still relevant and beneficial to the recipient. It also fosters stronger customer relationships by demonstrating genuine engagement. An incorrect approach that relies solely on mass, generic email blasts without any personalization or segmentation fails to respect the prospect's individuality and can be perceived as spam. This can lead to high unsubscribe rates and damage brand perception, potentially violating guidelines around unsolicited commercial electronic messages if not handled with care regarding opt-out mechanisms. Another incorrect approach that involves sending overly aggressive or high-pressure sales messages, even if personalized, can be ethically problematic. While not always a direct regulatory violation, it erodes trust and can be seen as manipulative, contravening principles of ethical sales conduct. A third incorrect approach that fails to track communication effectiveness and analyze engagement metrics misses a crucial opportunity for improvement. Without this analysis, a sales professional cannot identify which outreach strategies are working, which are not, and why. This leads to inefficient resource allocation and potentially continued use of ineffective or even problematic communication tactics, hindering both sales performance and ethical compliance. The professional reasoning framework for such situations involves a continuous cycle of understanding the prospect, crafting relevant messaging, delivering it through appropriate channels, measuring the impact, and refining the strategy. This iterative process ensures that communication remains effective, ethical, and compliant with evolving best practices and any applicable regulations concerning sales and marketing communications. Question 2. The performance metrics show that while the sales team is utilizing HubSpot Sales Hub's email templates and sequences extensively, leading to a high volume of outreach, the conversion rates for scheduled meetings and closed deals have plateaued. The team is also reporting a significant number of prospects unsubscribing from their emails. Considering the goal is to improve sales effectiveness and build stronger customer relationships, what is the most appropriate strategy for the sales team to adopt regarding their use of HubSpot Sales Hub tools? Option A. Disable email tracking and notification features to reduce perceived intrusiveness and focus solely on outbound calling efforts. Option B. Focus on personalizing email templates and sequences based on prospect engagement data and individual prospect needs, and use meeting scheduling tools more strategically after initial qualification. Option C. Increase the frequency of automated email sequences and leverage more aggressive calling features to compensate for the low conversion rates. Option D. Continue using email templates and sequences as is, and instruct the team to send more generic follow-up emails to increase touchpoints. The correct answer is C. Increase the frequency of automated email sequences and leverage more aggressive calling features to compensate for the low conversion rates. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires a sales representative to balance the efficiency gains offered by HubSpot's Sales Hub tools with the need to maintain genuine customer relationships and adhere to ethical sales practices. The temptation to over-rely on automation without personalization can lead to a perception of insincerity, potentially damaging long-term customer trust and brand reputation. Careful judgment is required to determine the appropriate level of automation versus human interaction. The correct approach involves strategically leveraging HubSpot's Sales Hub features, specifically email templates and sequences, to enhance efficiency while ensuring personalization remains a core component of communication. This approach is justified by the principle of providing value to the prospect. Email templates and sequences, when used thoughtfully, allow for consistent delivery of relevant information and timely follow-ups, which can be beneficial to a prospect evaluating a solution. However, the critical element is the subsequent personalization and adaptation of these tools to the individual prospect's needs and engagement, demonstrating that the representative is attentive and not simply sending generic messages. This aligns with ethical sales conduct by respecting the prospect's time and intelligence, and by focusing on building a relationship based on understanding their specific challenges. An incorrect approach would be to solely rely on pre-written, unpersonalized email templates and automated sequences without any regard for the prospect's specific situation or engagement level. This fails to acknowledge the individual needs of the prospect and can come across as impersonal and insincere, potentially violating ethical guidelines related to honest representation and fair dealing. Another incorrect approach would be to disable or ignore the tracking and notification features within Sales Hub. This would lead to a lack of insight into prospect engagement, hindering the ability to tailor follow-up communications effectively and potentially missing opportunities to address concerns or provide timely information, which is a failure in professional diligence and customer service. A third incorrect approach would be to use meeting scheduling tools to book multiple back-to-back introductory calls without adequate preparation or qualification, overwhelming the prospect and demonstrating a lack of respect for their time and decision-making process. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a framework that prioritizes understanding the prospect's needs, leveraging technology to enhance efficiency without sacrificing personalization, and maintaining ethical communication standards. This involves 1. Prospect qualification and understanding. Before engaging with automated tools, thoroughly understand the prospect's business, challenges, and potential needs. 2. Strategic tool application. Determine which HubSpot Sales Hub tools are most appropriate for the current stage of the sales process and the specific prospect. 3. Personalization and adaptation. Always personalize automated communications and adapt them based on prospect engagement and feedback. 4. Ethical review. Regularly assess whether the use of these tools aligns with ethical sales practices and promotes genuine customer relationships. 5. Performance monitoring and adjustment. Utilize reporting and analytics to understand what is working and adjust strategies accordingly, ensuring that efficiency gains do not come at the cost of effectiveness or ethical integrity. Question 3. Performance analysis shows that our current lead generation efforts are yielding a high volume of contacts, but a low conversion rate. We are considering implementing a more aggressive cold emailing strategy using a purchased list of business contacts and automating outreach to a broad segment of our target market without prior engagement. Which of the following approaches best balances lead generation volume with regulatory compliance and ethical best practices for prospecting? Option A. Purchase a comprehensive list of business contacts from a third-party vendor and automate a high-volume, generic cold email campaign to all contacts, assuming that a certain percentage will respond positively. Option B. Increase the frequency and intensity of our cold calls to prospects identified through broad online searches, without explicitly verifying their interest or providing clear opt-out mechanisms during the initial contact. Option C. Focus on refining our ideal customer profile to build highly targeted lists based on publicly available professional information and industry relevance, employing personalized cold emails with clear opt-out options, and utilizing LinkedIn Sales Navigator for relationship building rather than direct sales pitches. Option D. Rely solely on inbound marketing strategies, such as content creation, and cease all outbound prospecting activities until our website traffic significantly increases. The correct answer is C. Focus on refining our ideal customer profile to build highly targeted lists based on publicly available professional information and industry relevance, employing personalized cold emails with clear opt-out options, and utilizing LinkedIn Sales Navigator for relationship building rather than direct sales pitches. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing aggressive lead generation with adherence to data privacy regulations, specifically those pertaining to unsolicited electronic communications and the use of personal data. The core tension lies in maximizing outreach efficiency without violating legal and ethical boundaries, which can lead to reputational damage and penalties. Careful judgment is required to ensure all prospecting activities are compliant and respectful of potential customers' preferences. The correct approach involves a multifaceted strategy that prioritizes building a targeted list based on explicit consent or legitimate interest, employing compliant cold emailing practices, and leveraging tools like LinkedIn Sales Navigator ethically. This approach is correct because it aligns with the principles of data protection regulations that govern how personal data can be collected and used for marketing purposes. Specifically, it emphasizes obtaining consent where required, respecting opt-out requests, and ensuring that outreach is relevant and not overly intrusive. This proactive compliance minimizes legal risk and fosters a more positive brand perception. An incorrect approach that relies solely on broad data scraping and mass unsolicited emailing fails to respect individual privacy rights and likely violates regulations concerning direct marketing and unsolicited communications. This can lead to complaints, blacklisting of email domains, and potential fines. Another incorrect approach that neglects lead scoring and nurturing, treating all leads as equally ready for immediate sales engagement, is inefficient and can alienate prospects who are not yet ready to buy, leading to wasted resources and a poor customer experience. Finally, an approach that ignores the integration and proper management of prospecting data, leading to duplicates, outdated information, or a lack of clear tracking, undermines the effectiveness of all prospecting efforts and makes compliance auditing difficult. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that begins with understanding the specific regulatory landscape governing their target audience's location. This involves identifying the relevant laws, e.g., GDPR in Europe, CAN-SPAM in the US, or equivalent local regulations, and understanding their requirements for consent, opt-outs, and data processing. Next, they should define their ideal customer profile meticulously to ensure that prospecting efforts are focused and relevant, thereby increasing the likelihood of legitimate interest. This should be followed by selecting lead generation strategies that align with these regulations, such as inbound marketing or opt-in list building. When using outbound methods like cold emailing, strict adherence to best practices, including personalization, clear opt-out mechanisms, and respecting do not contact lists, is paramount. Regular data hygiene and performance tracking are crucial for continuous improvement and ongoing compliance. Question 4. The audit findings indicate a pattern of inconsistent and incomplete data entry within the HubSpot sales software, impacting the reliability of sales reports and forecasting. Which of the following represents the most effective best practice for addressing this issue and ensuring future data integrity? Option A. Develop a manual process for sales managers to cross-reference and correct HubSpot data after it has been entered. Option B. Encourage sales representatives to enter data as quickly as possible to maximize their time spent on selling activities. Option C. Implement mandatory data validation rules and provide comprehensive training on data entry standards for all sales team members. Option D. Conduct a one-time data cleanup exercise to correct all existing inaccuracies. Correct answer is C. Implement mandatory data validation rules and provide comprehensive training on data entry standards for all sales team members. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the efficiency of sales processes with the imperative of accurate and compliant data management. The audit findings highlight a potential disconnect between how sales activities are recorded and the underlying data integrity, which can have significant implications for reporting, forecasting, and regulatory compliance. Careful judgment is required to identify and implement best practices that uphold both sales effectiveness and data trustworthiness. The correct approach involves proactively establishing and enforcing clear data entry standards for all sales activities within HubSpot. This includes defining mandatory fields, providing comprehensive training on data hygiene, and implementing regular data quality checks. This approach is best professional practice because it directly addresses the root cause of potential inaccuracies identified by the audit. It aligns with the general principles of good data governance, which are implicitly expected in any professional sales environment, ensuring that the data used for decision-making and reporting is reliable. While specific regulations for HubSpot sales software certification are not detailed here, the underlying principle of maintaining accurate records is a universal professional and ethical expectation in business operations. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on correcting errors after they are identified fails to prevent future issues. This reactive stance is inefficient and can lead to a persistent problem of unreliable data, undermining trust in sales reports, and potentially leading to flawed business decisions. It also misses an opportunity to build a culture of data accuracy from the outset. Another incorrect approach that prioritizes speed of data entry over accuracy is detrimental. While quick entry might seem efficient in the short term, it inevitably leads to errors, omissions, and inconsistencies. This compromises the integrity of the sales data, making it unreliable for analysis and reporting, and potentially violating implicit professional standards for data management. A further incorrect approach that relies on manual reconciliation of data outside of HubSpot without addressing the source of the discrepancies is also professionally unsound. This is a workaround rather than a solution. It consumes valuable resources, is prone to human error, and does not improve the quality of data within the primary system. It fails to establish a sustainable process for maintaining data integrity. A professional reasoning process for similar situations should involve a systematic evaluation of audit findings to identify systemic issues rather than isolated incidents. This requires understanding the workflow and identifying points where data integrity can be compromised. The next step is to design and implement preventative measures that embed data quality into the process itself, rather than relying on post hoc corrections. This includes clear guidelines, adequate training, and ongoing monitoring. Finally, it is crucial to foster a culture where data accuracy is valued and seen as a shared responsibility across the sales team. Question 5. The control framework reveals that a sales team is configuring a new HubSpot workflow to automate lead nurturing for inbound leads. To ensure compliance with the HubSpot sales software certification's principles on customer consent and communication preferences, which of the following workflow enrollment criteria and action configurations would be considered the most robust and ethically sound? Option A. Enroll leads into the nurturing workflow only after they have explicitly opted in to receive marketing communications via a checkbox on the contact form, and segment the nurturing sequence based on lead source and engagement level. Option B. Enroll all leads that visit the pricing page into a generic sales outreach workflow, with automated follow-up tasks assigned to sales representatives every 2 days until a deal is closed or the lead becomes inactive. Option C. Enroll all leads that submit a contact form into a 10-email nurturing sequence, with the first email sent immediately upon submission, and include an unsubscribe link in all emails. Option D. Enroll leads into a workflow that automatically sends a personalized demo request email to all leads that have not responded to an initial email within 24 hours, regardless of their prior communication preferences. The correct answer is C. Enroll all leads that submit a contact form into a 10-email nurturing sequence, with the first email sent immediately upon submission, and include an unsubscribe link in all emails. Explanation. The control framework reveals a scenario where a sales team is implementing a new HubSpot workflow to automate lead nurturing. The challenge lies in ensuring this automation adheres strictly to the HubSpot sales software certifications guidelines, particularly concerning data privacy and consent, which are paramount in sales operations. Mismanagement of this automation could lead to non-compliance, impacting customer trust and potentially incurring penalties. The correct approach involves designing the workflow with explicit opt-in mechanisms for communication and ensuring all automated emails are clearly identifiable as marketing or sales outreach, respecting recipient preferences. This aligns with best practices for customer engagement and data handling, as emphasized by regulatory frameworks that govern digital communication and consumer protection. The focus is on transparency and user control over communication channels. An incorrect approach would be to implement a workflow that automatically enrolls all new leads into a nurturing sequence without prior consent, potentially violating anti-spam regulations and data privacy laws. Another incorrect approach is to use generic, untargeted messaging that fails to provide value or respect the lead stage in the sales funnel, leading to disengagement and a poor customer experience. Finally, failing to establish clear criteria for workflow enrollment, leading to irrelevant communications being sent to unqualified leads, is also an ineffective and potentially non-compliant strategy. Professional decision-making in such situations requires a thorough understanding of the HubSpot platform's capabilities, combined with a strong grasp of the relevant regulatory landscape governing sales and marketing communications. It involves prioritizing customer consent, data protection, and delivering relevant, valuable content through automated processes, all while maintaining clear audit trails for compliance. Question 6. The assessment process reveals that the sales team is reporting inconsistent data between their HubSpot CRM, their Gmail accounts, and their Outlook calendars, leading to missed follow-ups and duplicate task entries. The team also mentions that some custom fields in HubSpot are not populating correctly when emails are logged. What is the most effective and professionally responsible approach to diagnose and resolve these integration issues? Option A. Immediately reinstall all HubSpot integrations with Gmail and Outlook Calendar, and then conduct a broad user training session on email logging best practices. Option B. Systematically review and verify the authentication, sync settings, and data mapping configurations for the Gmail and Outlook Calendar integrations within HubSpot, cross-referencing with HubSpot's official troubleshooting guides and integration best practices documentation. Option C. Focus solely on retraining the sales team on how to manually log emails and schedule meetings, assuming user error is the primary cause of the data discrepancies. Option D. Consult various online forums and third-party blogs for quick fixes and workarounds, without verifying the core integration settings or referring to official HubSpot resources. The correct answer is A. Immediately reinstall all HubSpot integrations with Gmail and Outlook Calendar, and then conduct a broad user training session on email logging best practices. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common implementation challenge where a sales team is experiencing data discrepancies and workflow disruption due to a poorly configured HubSpot integration with their existing email and calendar tools. The professional challenge lies in diagnosing the root cause of these issues, which could stem from technical misconfigurations, user error, or a misunderstanding of integration capabilities, all while ensuring compliance with data handling best practices and maintaining team productivity. The need for a systematic, data-driven approach is paramount to avoid further disruption and ensure the integrity of sales data. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough, step-by-step diagnostic process. This begins with verifying the foundational settings of the HubSpot integrations with Gmail/Outlook and Google Calendar/Outlook Calendar. This includes checking authentication, sync settings, e.g., which emails/events are synced, direction of sync, and any specific mapping rules. Following this, the focus shifts to understanding how these integrations interact with other third-party sales tools and the CRM system itself, looking for conflicts or misconfigurations in data flow. Finally, reviewing HubSpot's integration troubleshooting guides and best practices documentation provides a structured framework for identifying and resolving common issues, ensuring that the integration aligns with intended workflows and data integrity standards. This methodical approach minimizes the risk of introducing new problems and ensures a robust, reliable integration. Incorrect approach is analysis. One incorrect approach is to immediately assume a widespread technical failure and attempt to reinstall all integrations without proper diagnosis. This is professionally unsound because it bypasses the crucial step of identifying the specific cause of the problem, potentially wasting significant time and resources. It also risks exacerbating existing issues or creating new ones if the underlying problem is a simple configuration error or user misunderstanding. Another incorrect approach is to focus solely on user training without first verifying the technical configuration of the integrations. While user error can contribute to data discrepancies, assuming it's the sole cause without examining the integration settings themselves is premature. This could lead to unnecessary training efforts and fail to address genuine technical or configuration-related problems, leaving the core issues unresolved. A third incorrect approach is to only consult external forums or anecdotal advice without referencing HubSpot's official documentation and best practices. While community insights can be helpful, they may not be specific to the user's exact setup or the latest HubSpot guidelines. Relying on unverified information can lead to incorrect troubleshooting steps, potentially violating best practices for data management and integration stability. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach integration challenges with a systematic diagnostic methodology. This involves 1. Clearly defining the observed problems and their impact. 2. Consulting official documentation and best practices for the specific software and integrations involved. 3. Verifying foundational settings and configurations. 4. Isolating variables to pinpoint the root cause, testing one change at a time. 5. Documenting all steps taken and their outcomes. 6. Escalating to support or specialists if internal troubleshooting is unsuccessful. This structured process ensures efficiency, accuracy, and adherence to recommended operational standards. Question 7. The evaluation methodology shows that a sales team has implemented automated lead qualification within their HubSpot sales software. To ensure this automation effectively supports the inbound sales methodology and adheres to best practices for lead qualification, which of the following actions is the most critical for ongoing success and compliance? Option A. Rely exclusively on the default lead qualification rules provided by HubSpot, assuming they are universally applicable and compliant for all business scenarios. Option B. Regularly review and validate the automated qualification criteria against the defined buyer's journey stages and established lead qualification frameworks, ensuring alignment with business objectives and any relevant sales conduct guidelines. Option C. Completely disable the automated lead qualification feature and revert to manual qualification for all leads to maintain complete control. Option D. Prioritize the speed of automated qualification above all else, ensuring leads are processed as quickly as possible regardless of the depth of qualification. Correct answer is B. Regularly review and validate the automated qualification criteria against the defined buyer's journey stages and established lead qualification frameworks, ensuring alignment with business objectives and any relevant sales conduct guidelines. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing the efficiency gains of sales process automation with the critical need for accurate and compliant lead qualification, particularly when dealing with potentially sensitive customer information. The HubSpot Sales Software Certification Exam emphasizes understanding how to leverage technology ethically and effectively within a defined sales framework. Careful judgment is required to ensure that automated processes do not inadvertently lead to misqualification, compliance breaches, or a degraded customer experience. The correct approach involves a systematic review and validation of the automated lead qualification criteria against established sales methodologies and regulatory guidelines. This ensures that the automation accurately reflects the nuances of the buyer's journey and adheres to any applicable data privacy or sales conduct regulations. By focusing on the underlying principles of effective lead qualification, such as understanding customer needs and budget, and ensuring these are embedded in the automated rules, the sales team can maintain high standards of practice while benefiting from efficiency. This aligns with the ethical imperative to treat customers fairly and the regulatory requirement to conduct business in a compliant manner. An approach that relies solely on the default settings of the sales automation software is professionally unacceptable. This fails to account for the specific business context, target audience, and any relevant regulatory requirements that might necessitate tailored qualification criteria. It risks misqualifying valuable leads or pursuing unqualified ones, leading to wasted resources and potentially damaging customer relationships. Furthermore, it could inadvertently lead to noncompliance if the default settings do not align with data handling or sales practice regulations. Another incorrect approach is to prioritize speed of qualification over accuracy. While efficiency is important, rushing the qualification process through automation without proper validation can lead to significant errors. This can result in pursuing leads that are not a good fit, wasting sales team effort, and potentially misrepresenting the product or service to prospects, which can have ethical and regulatory implications regarding fair dealing and accurate representation. Finally, an approach that bypasses the automated qualification process entirely for all leads would negate the benefits of sales process automation. This is inefficient and undermines the purpose of implementing such tools. It also suggests a lack of trust in the technology or a failure to properly configure and manage it, which is a professional failing in leveraging available resources effectively. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a phased approach. First, understanding the core principles of the chosen sales methodology, e.g., inbound sales methodology and lead qualification frameworks, e.g., BANT-MEDIC. Second, evaluating how the chosen sales automation software, e.g., HubSpot, can be configured to support these principles. Third, rigorously testing and validating the automated processes against real-world scenarios and regulatory requirements. Finally, establishing a feedback loop for continuous improvement and adjustment of the automated processes based on performance data and evolving business needs. Question 8. Benchmark analysis indicates that a sales team is leveraging HubSpot's advanced features for targeted email campaigns. Considering the strict requirements of UK GDPR, which of the following approaches best balances the effective use of HubSpot's email deliverability, tracking, segmentation, and personalization capabilities with regulatory compliance? Option A. Implement aggressive A/B testing on email subject lines and content, utilizing advanced segmentation based on broad demographic data, and assume consent for tracking and personalization unless explicitly opted out. Option B. Focus on maximizing email open rates through sophisticated automation sequences that infer user interest without explicit consent for each personalization element, and integrate with third-party tools without detailed data processing agreements. Option C. Utilize custom objects and reports to gather as much user data as possible for granular segmentation, assuming that data collected for one purpose can be repurposed for marketing without further consent, and disable privacy controls to streamline data synchronization. Option D. Prioritize obtaining explicit consent for all marketing communications, clearly disclosing email tracking and personalization practices in privacy policies, and using advanced segmentation and smart content only for consented purposes, while ensuring API integrations adhere to data security standards. The correct answer is A. Implement aggressive A/B testing on email subject lines and content, utilizing advanced segmentation based on broad demographic data, and assume consent for tracking and personalization unless explicitly opted out. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a sales team to leverage advanced HubSpot features for targeted outreach while strictly adhering to data privacy regulations, specifically the UK GDPR. The core challenge lies in balancing the effectiveness of personalized marketing through features like smart content and advanced segmentation with the legal obligations to obtain consent, ensure data minimization, and provide clear opt-out mechanisms. Misinterpreting or misapplying these features can lead to significant legal repercussions, including substantial fines and reputational damage. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a comprehensive understanding of UK GDPR principles and how they map onto HubSpot's advanced features. Specifically, it requires ensuring that any use of smart content or advanced segmentation is predicated on lawful basis for processing personal data, such as explicit consent for marketing communications. Email open and click tracking must be transparently disclosed in privacy policies and consent mechanisms. A/B testing should focus on improving user experience and relevance, not on circumventing consent. API integrations and webhooks must be designed with data security and privacy by design, ensuring data is transferred and stored securely, and only for the purposes for which consent was given. Custom objects and reports should be used to manage data in a way that supports data subject rights, like the right to access or erasure. The emphasis is on a privacy-first mindset, where the functionality of HubSpot is utilized within the strict confines of regulatory compliance. This approach aligns with the core tenets of UK GDPR, particularly Article 5, Principles relating to processing of personal data, Article 6, Lawfulness of processing, and Article 7, Conditions for consent. Incorrect approach is analysis, an approach that prioritizes maximizing engagement through aggressive A/B testing of email subject lines and content, without clearly disclosing tracking mechanisms, or ensuring a valid lawful basis for processing personal data for each segment would fail to comply with UK GDPR. This would likely violate transparency requirements and potentially the lawful basis for processing. Another incorrect approach would be to implement advanced automation and smart content based solely on inferred data or broad demographic assumptions without obtaining explicit consent for marketing communications. This disregards the need for a specific lawful basis for each processing activity and the principle of data minimization. Furthermore, an approach that focuses on extensive API integrations and data synchronization without robust security measures or clear data processing agreements with third parties would be a significant breach of data security and privacy obligations under UK GDPR, particularly Articles 32, Security of Processing, and 25, Data Protection by Design and by Default. Professional reasoning. Professionals must adopt a privacy by design and by default approach when utilizing any CRM or marketing automation software. This involves proactively identifying potential privacy risks associated with each feature and implementing safeguards before deployment. A thorough understanding of the specific regulatory landscape, in this case, UK GDPR, is paramount. Decision-making should be guided by a risk-based assessment, prioritizing compliance and data subject rights over immediate marketing gains. Regular training on data protection regulations and the compliant use of software features is essential. When in doubt, seeking legal counsel or consulting with a data protection officer is the responsible course of action. Question 9. Investigation of a sales team's performance reveals a significant increase in the total value of deals closed over the last quarter. The sales manager needs to understand the underlying drivers of this success and identify areas for continued improvement. Which of the following actions would best align with the principles of effective sales reporting and analysis within the HubSpot Sales Software Certification Framework? Option A. Develop a dashboard that highlights the number of new leads generated, assuming that more leads directly translate to higher deal values. Option B. Compile a report based on informal conversations with top-performing sales representatives to understand their strategies. Option C. Focus on creating a dashboard that prominently displays the total revenue generated, as this is the most direct indicator of sales success. Option D. Create a custom report in HubSpot that analyzes deal velocity, conversion rates at each stage of the sales pipeline, and the number of sales activities logged per representative, alongside the total value of deals closed. The correct answer is D. Create a custom report in HubSpot that analyzes deal velocity, conversion rates at each stage of the sales pipeline, and the number of sales activities logged per representative, alongside the total value of deals closed. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires a sales manager to interpret and act upon sales performance data while adhering to the principles of accurate and ethical reporting, as mandated by the HubSpot Sales Software Certification Framework. The challenge lies in distinguishing between superficial observations and actionable insights that align with best practices for sales reporting and analysis. Careful judgment is required to ensure that any reporting or dashboard creation is not misleading and accurately reflects the team's performance and the effectiveness of sales activities. Correct approach involves leveraging HubSpot's reporting and analytics features to create custom reports and dashboards that provide a clear, data-driven view of sales performance. This includes analyzing key metrics like conversion rates, deal velocity, and activity levels to identify trends and areas for improvement. This approach is correct because it directly aligns with the HubSpot Sales Software Certification's emphasis on sales reporting fundamentals. Custom report creation, dashboard creation, performance metrics analysis, sales pipeline analysis, sales activity analysis, and sales team performance analysis. By focusing on these core reporting functionalities, the manager can generate insights that are both accurate and actionable, fostering a data-informed sales strategy. This adheres to the ethical principle of transparent and truthful representation of performance data. An incorrect approach would be to focus solely on the number of closed deals without considering the underlying factors contributing to that number. This fails to provide a comprehensive understanding of sales effectiveness, potentially masking issues in lead quality, pipeline management, or sales process efficiency. It neglects the crucial analysis of sales pipeline analysis and sales activity analysis, leading to an incomplete picture of performance. Another incorrect approach would be to create a dashboard that highlights only positive metrics, such as the total value of deals closed, while omitting metrics that might indicate challenges, such as a high rate of deals lost or a declining lead conversion rate. This constitutes a failure in accurate reporting and can be considered misleading, violating the principles of transparent performance analysis. It ignores the importance of reporting on deal performance and performance metrics analysis in their entirety. A further incorrect approach would be to rely on anecdotal evidence or personal opinions rather than data derived from the HubSpot platform to assess team performance. This bypasses the fundamental reporting capabilities of the software and introduces bias, undermining the integrity of performance analysis. It directly contradicts the core tenets of reporting and analytics as taught in the certification. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a systematic approach. First, clearly define the objective of the reporting or analysis. Second, identify the relevant data points and metrics within the HubSpot platform that will help achieve this objective. Third, utilize the platform's tools to create custom reports and dashboards that accurately and comprehensively represent the data. Fourth, analyze the data to derive actionable insights, focusing on both successes and areas for improvement. Finally, communicate these findings transparently and ethically, using the data to guide strategic decisions and team development. Question 10. The risk matrix shows a moderate likelihood of data integrity issues arising from bulk contact data imports and a high likelihood of privacy breaches if sensitive customer information is not adequately protected through access controls. Which of the following HubSpot CRM management strategies best mitigates these identified risks in compliance with data protection principles? Option A. Implement a rigorous data import process that includes source verification, consent checks where applicable, and pre-import data cleansing, coupled with a strict user role and permission structure that limits access to sensitive data based on job function. Option B. Prioritize rapid data population by importing all available contact lists without immediate validation, and assume all users will exercise discretion with sensitive data. Option C. Focus solely on exporting data for analysis and reporting, with minimal attention paid to the accuracy or access controls of the data within the CRM itself. Option D. Conduct a one-time data cleansing exercise after all initial bulk imports are completed and rely on general user awareness for data protection. The correct answer is A. Implement a rigorous data import process that includes source verification, consent checks where applicable, and pre-import data cleansing, coupled with a strict user role and permission structure that limits access to sensitive data based on job function. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the efficient use of HubSpot CRM for sales operations with the critical need to comply with data privacy regulations, specifically those governing the handling of personal information. The core tension lies in ensuring that data imported into the CRM is accurate, relevant, and handled in a way that respects individual privacy rights, as mandated by relevant data protection laws. Careful judgment is required to avoid both data integrity issues and regulatory breaches. The correct approach involves a multifaceted strategy that prioritizes data accuracy and compliance from the outset. This includes establishing clear data import protocols that mandate verification of data sources, ensuring consent mechanisms are in place where required, and implementing data validation rules within HubSpot to catch errors during import. Furthermore, regularly reviewing and cleansing data, along with understanding and applying user roles and permissions to limit access to sensitive information, are crucial for maintaining data hygiene and adhering to privacy principles. This approach is ethically sound and legally compliant because it proactively addresses potential data privacy risks by embedding them into the CRM management process, thereby minimizing the likelihood of unauthorized access, inaccurate data leading to misrepresentation, or non-compliance with data protection statutes. An incorrect approach that relies solely on bulk data import without prior validation or verification of consent mechanisms fails to meet regulatory obligations. This can lead to the introduction of inaccurate or unlawfully obtained personal data into the CRM, creating a significant compliance risk. Another incorrect approach that neglects to define and enforce user roles and permissions leaves sensitive customer data vulnerable to unauthorized access or misuse, violating principles of data minimization and security mandated by privacy laws. Finally, an approach that does not include regular data hygiene practices, such as deduplication and removal of outdated information, can lead to operational inefficiencies and potentially the use of stale data in communications, which, while not always a direct regulatory breach, erodes trust and can indirectly lead to compliance issues if it results in misrepresentation or inappropriate contact. Professionals should adopt a decision-making framework that begins with understanding the specific data privacy regulations applicable to their operations. This understanding should then inform the design of CRM processes, including data import, management, and access controls. A proactive, risk-based approach, where potential data privacy issues are identified and mitigated before they occur, is essential. This involves continuous training for users on data handling best practices and regular audits of CRM data and processes to ensure ongoing compliance. Question 11. The assessment process reveals that the HubSpot Sales Software Certification Program has introduced new regulatory guidelines that significantly impact how market analysis and target audience identification are conducted. A sales team, accustomed to their previous methods, is unsure how to adapt their current strategies to comply with these updated HubSpot Sales Software Certification requirements. Which of the following approaches best addresses this situation? Option A. Prioritize achieving current sales targets by implementing strategies that have historically been effective, deferring a full review of the new regulations until after the current sales cycle. Option B. Proactively seek clarification on the new regulatory framework and its implications for market analysis and target audience identification, ensuring all strategies are aligned with these specific guidelines. Option C. Make assumptions about the new regulations based on general sales best practices and past experiences in unrelated markets. Option D. Continue using existing market analysis and target audience identification methods, assuming they are still permissible until specific violations are identified. The correct answer is B. Proactively seek clarification on the new regulatory framework and its implications for market analysis and target audience identification, ensuring all strategies are aligned with these specific guidelines. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a sales team to adapt their established market analysis and target audience identification strategies to a new regulatory environment without explicit guidance. Misinterpreting or ignoring these new regulations can lead to non-compliance, reputational damage, and potential legal repercussions, all of which directly impact the effectiveness and sustainability of sales efforts. The pressure to meet sales targets can create a temptation to overlook or downplay regulatory nuances, making careful judgment and adherence to the specified framework paramount. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves proactively seeking clarification on the new regulatory framework and its implications for market analysis and target audience identification. This demonstrates a commitment to compliance and ethical sales practices. Specifically, it requires understanding how the HubSpot Sales Software Certification's governing regulations, which are assumed to be US-based for this example, focusing on principles like those found in FTC guidelines regarding deceptive practices and data privacy, and FINRA rules for financial services if applicable, though the prompt specifies general sales software certification. Dictate what constitutes permissible market segmentation and how customer data can be ethically collected and utilized for targeting. By aligning market analysis and target audience identification with these regulations, the sales team ensures their strategies are not only effective, but also legally sound and ethically responsible, preventing potential misrepresentation or privacy violations. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves proceeding with the existing market analysis and target audience identification methods without considering the new regulatory framework. This fails to acknowledge the binding nature of the specified regulations for the HubSpot sales software certification. Such an approach risks employing tactics that are now prohibited, such as making unsubstantiated claims in market analysis or targeting audiences based on data collected or used in ways that violate privacy laws or ethical guidelines relevant to the certification. This can lead to fines, sanctions, and a loss of credibility. Another incorrect approach is to make assumptions about the new regulations based on general industry knowledge or past experiences in different jurisdictions. This is a critical failure because the prompt strictly mandates adherence to the specific regulatory framework for the HubSpot sales software certification. Generic assumptions can lead to significant misinterpretation, resulting in noncompliance with the precise requirements of the certifications governing laws and guidelines. This could involve targeting prohibited customer segments or using prohibited sales methodologies. A third incorrect approach is to prioritize sales targets over regulatory compliance when interpreting the new framework. This demonstrates a lack of ethical judgment and a disregard for the legal obligations associated with the certification. While sales performance is important, it must always be achieved within the bounds of the law and ethical standards. Ignoring or downplaying regulatory requirements in pursuit of short-term gains is a direct violation of professional conduct and the spirit of the certification. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes understanding and adherence to the specific regulatory environment. This involves 1. Identifying the relevant regulatory framework for the certification. 2. Thoroughly researching and understanding the specific requirements and prohibitions within that framework related to market analysis and target audience identification. 3. Seeking expert advice or official guidance if any aspect of the regulations is unclear. 4. Developing and implementing sales strategies that are demonstrably compliant with these regulations. 5. Regularly reviewing and updating strategies to ensure ongoing compliance as regulations evolve. This systematic approach ensures that sales activities are both effective and ethically sound, safeguarding the professional's reputation and the integrity of the certification. Question 12. When evaluating the impact of a new sales enablement strategy utilizing HubSpot for content management and distribution, which of the following actions is most critical for ensuring regulatory compliance and ethical sales practices? Option A. Conducting a thorough audit of all sales content within HubSpot to verify compliance with advertising standards and data privacy regulations, and establishing clear content governance policies. Option B. Maximizing the volume of sales content created and distributed through HubSpot to increase sales team engagement. Option C. Prioritizing the distribution of content that has historically generated the highest number of sales leads, regardless of its current regulatory standing. Option D. Implementing comprehensive sales training and coaching, focused exclusively on leveraging HubSpot's content distribution features. The correct answer is A. Conducting a thorough audit of all sales content within HubSpot to verify compliance with advertising standards and data privacy regulations, and establishing clear content governance policies. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in sales enablement where a company aims to leverage HubSpot for content management and distribution to enhance sales team effectiveness. The professional challenge lies in ensuring that the content created and managed within HubSpot adheres to all relevant sales and marketing regulations, particularly concerning data privacy and fair advertising practices, while also being effective for sales enablement. Mismanagement of content can lead to regulatory noncompliance, reputational damage, and ineffective sales efforts. Careful judgment is required to balance the drive for sales efficiency with legal and ethical obligations. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic review of all sales content within HubSpot to ensure it complies with relevant regulations, such as those governing advertising claims and data privacy. This includes verifying that all marketing materials are truthful, not misleading, and that any data collected or used in conjunction with sales enablement activities is handled in accordance with privacy laws. Furthermore, it necessitates establishing clear guidelines for content creation, approval, and distribution within HubSpot to maintain ongoing compliance and effectiveness. This systematic approach ensures that the sales enablement strategy is built on a foundation of regulatory adherence and ethical practice, maximizing its positive impact while mitigating risks. Incorrect approaches analysis. Focusing solely on the volume of content created and distributed without a compliance review fails to address potential regulatory violations. This approach risks disseminating misleading information or violating data privacy laws, leading to significant legal penalties and reputational harm. Prioritizing content that generates the most immediate sales leads without verifying its accuracy or compliance with advertising standards is also problematic. This can result in the use of deceptive or unsubstantiated claims, which is unethical and illegal, and can damage customer trust and the company's long-term reputation. Implementing sales training and coaching solely on how to use HubSpot's features for content distribution, without ensuring the content itself is compliant, overlooks a critical risk. This can lead to sales representatives inadvertently sharing non-compliant materials, exposing the company to legal repercussions. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a risk-based approach to sales enablement. This involves first identifying all applicable regulations related to sales and marketing content. Then, a comprehensive audit of existing and planned sales content within HubSpot should be conducted to assess compliance. Establishing a robust content governance framework, including clear approval workflows and regular compliance training for the sales team, is crucial. Continuous monitoring of content performance and regulatory changes will ensure ongoing adherence and effectiveness. Question 13. Quality control measures reveal that a sales team is experiencing a high volume of customer inquiries regarding how their personal data is being collected, stored, and used within HubSpot, particularly in relation to marketing communications. The team is also facing increased scrutiny from management regarding compliance with data privacy regulations and HubSpot's terms of service. Option A. Implement a clear and accessible privacy policy within HubSpot. Ensure all data collection forms explicitly state the purpose of data collection and obtain explicit consent for marketing communications, and regularly review and update data security protocols within the platform. Option B. Assume that by using HubSpot, all data privacy and security requirements are automatically met, and therefore no further proactive measures or internal reviews are necessary. Option C. Continue current data collection practices, but instruct the sales team to verbally assure customers that their data is handled securely and in accordance with privacy laws, without providing written documentation. Option D. Focus solely on meeting sales targets by prioritizing lead acquisition and engagement, and address data privacy concerns only when directly challenged by a customer or regulatory body. The correct answer is A. Implement a clear and accessible privacy policy within HubSpot. Ensure all data collection forms explicitly state the purpose of data collection and obtain explicit consent for marketing communications, and regularly review and update data security protocols within the platform. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires balancing aggressive sales targets with strict adherence to data privacy regulations and ethical sales practices. Sales teams often face pressure to generate leads and close deals, which can create a temptation to cut corners on data handling and consent. The complexity arises from understanding the nuances of regulations like GDPR and CCPA and applying them consistently within the HubSpot platform, while also maintaining customer trust. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves proactively implementing robust data privacy controls within HubSpot, ensuring all data collection and processing activities are compliant with relevant regulations, and prioritizing transparency and consent. This means clearly informing customers about data usage, obtaining explicit consent where required, and securely managing customer data as per HubSpot's terms of service and applicable laws. This approach builds long-term trust, mitigates legal and reputational risks, and aligns with ethical sales principles. Incorrect approach is analysis, an approach that focuses solely on lead generation without adequate data privacy considerations, risks violating GDPR and CCPA by collecting or processing personal data without a lawful basis or proper consent. This can lead to significant fines and reputational damage. An approach that neglects to update HubSpot's data handling practices to reflect evolving anti-spam laws could result in sending unsolicited marketing communications, leading to complaints, penalties, and a breakdown of customer trust. An approach that prioritizes sales volume over transparency and ethical data handling, such as misrepresenting data usage or failing to secure customer information, directly contravenes ethical sales practices and can erode customer confidence, leading to lost business and negative word of mouth. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a risk-based approach, prioritizing compliance and ethical conduct. This involves understanding the specific data privacy obligations applicable to their customer base, e.g., GDPR for EU residents, CCPA for California residents. They should leverage HubSpot's features for consent management, data security, and transparent communication. Regular training on data privacy and ethical sales practices, coupled with internal audits of sales processes and data handling, are crucial for maintaining compliance and building sustainable customer relationships. When in doubt, seeking legal counsel or consulting HubSpot's compliance resources is advisable. Question 14. Analysis of a situation where a sales representative, under pressure to meet quarterly targets, is demonstrating HubSpot sales software to a prospective client who expresses concern about the software's ability to automate a specific, complex lead nurturing workflow. The client asks if the software can handle this workflow out of the box. The representative knows that while HubSpot can handle many automation tasks, this particular workflow requires advanced customization or integration that is not a standard feature and might be challenging to implement without expert assistance. The representative is tempted to assure the client that the software can easily handle it to secure the deal. What is the most ethically and professionally sound approach for the sales representative? Option A. Honestly explain that the specific workflow might require advanced configuration or integration, and then proactively guide the client to relevant resources within the HubSpot knowledge base and community for potential solutions, or to connect with HubSpot's technical support for a detailed assessment. Option B. Tell the client that the workflow is not possible with HubSpot sales software and suggest they look elsewhere, even though there might be potential workarounds. Option C. Suggest a custom workaround that the representative has heard about from another user without verifying its official support status or potential long-term implications for the client. Option D. Assure the client that HubSpot sales software can handle the workflow perfectly, downplaying the complexity and promising a seamless implementation to close the deal quickly. The correct answer is A. Honestly explain that the specific workflow might require advanced configuration or integration, and then proactively guide the client to relevant resources within the HubSpot knowledge base and community for potential solutions, or to connect with HubSpot's technical support for a detailed assessment. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents an ethical dilemma where a sales representative, under pressure to meet targets, is tempted to misrepresent the capabilities of HubSpot sales software to a potential client. The challenge lies in balancing the desire to close a deal with the professional obligation to provide accurate information and maintain client trust. Misleading a client can lead to significant reputational damage for both the individual and HubSpot, and potentially violate consumer protection regulations regarding fair advertising and truthful representation of services. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves prioritizing honesty and transparency by acknowledging the limitations of the software and offering alternative solutions or workarounds. This aligns with ethical sales practices and regulatory expectations that prohibit deceptive advertising and require truthful representation of product capabilities. By directing the client to the HubSpot knowledge base and community, the representative demonstrates a commitment to client success and empowers the client to find solutions independently, fostering trust and long-term relationships. This approach upholds professional integrity and avoids potential regulatory violations. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves exaggerating the software's capabilities to secure the sale. This is ethically unsound as it constitutes deception and misrepresentation. From a regulatory standpoint, this could be viewed as false advertising, violating principles of fair trade and consumer protection. Such actions erode client trust and can lead to significant dissatisfaction and potential legal recourse. Another incorrect approach is to dismiss the client's concerns without proper investigation or offering support. This demonstrates a lack of professionalism and a disregard for client needs. Ethically, it fails to uphold the duty of care owed to a prospective client. From a regulatory perspective, while not directly deceptive, it can contribute to a negative client experience that, if widespread, could reflect poorly on the company's overall conduct and potentially lead to complaints about service quality. A third incorrect approach is to suggest a workaround that is not officially supported or documented by HubSpot. While seemingly helpful, this can lead to future technical issues for the client that are difficult to troubleshoot and may not be covered by HubSpot support. Ethically, this is irresponsible as it exposes the client to potential future problems without full disclosure. It also risks misrepresenting the intended use and support structure of the software, potentially leading to client frustration and a breach of implied service agreements. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a decision-making framework that prioritizes ethical conduct and regulatory compliance. This involves 1. Understanding the client's needs and concerns thoroughly. 2. Accurately assessing the software's capabilities and limitations. 3. Communicating honestly and transparently, even if it means not closing an immediate sale. 4. Leveraging available resources, such as the HubSpot knowledge base and community, to provide accurate and helpful information. 5. Escalating complex issues to technical support when necessary. This approach builds trust, ensures client satisfaction, and protects against regulatory scrutiny. Question 15. Operational review demonstrates that the sales team's utilization of HubSpot sales software has plateaued, with several team members expressing unfamiliarity with recently released features and a lack of consistent application of established best practices. Considering the importance of process optimization and staying current with software capabilities, which of the following strategies best addresses this situation to ensure ongoing efficiency and adherence to HubSpot's recommended usage? Option A. Discourage engagement with external HubSpot resources such as community forums and user groups, suggesting that internal training materials are sufficient for all software-related learning. Option B. Advise the sales team to independently investigate any new HubSpot features or best practices only when they encounter a specific workflow issue or question that cannot be resolved through their current knowledge. Option C. Direct the sales team to complete only the introductory HubSpot Academy courses and to rely on informal peer-to-peer knowledge sharing for any advanced software usage questions. Option D. Implement a mandatory weekly feature exploration session where a designated team member researches and presents one new HubSpot feature or best practice to the rest of the team, supplemented by encouraging participation in relevant HubSpot Academy courses and community forums. Correct answer is D. Implement a mandatory weekly feature exploration session where a designated team member researches and presents one new HubSpot feature or best practice to the rest of the team, supplemented by encouraging participation in relevant HubSpot Academy courses and community forums. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a sales team to balance the immediate demands of closing deals with the long-term strategic imperative of maintaining proficiency and compliance with evolving software capabilities. The risk lies in prioritizing short-term revenue over sustainable, efficient, and compliant use of the HubSpot sales software, which can lead to missed opportunities, inefficient processes, and potential breaches of best practices that could impact data integrity or customer experience. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves proactively integrating continuous learning and adaptation into the sales team's workflow. This means dedicating time to explore new HubSpot features, complete relevant HubSpot Academy courses, and engage with the HubSpot community. This strategy ensures the team is not only aware of updates, but also understands how to leverage them effectively and ethically within the established best practices. This aligns with the implicit regulatory and ethical expectation of using tools responsibly and efficiently, maximizing their intended benefits while minimizing risks associated with outdated knowledge or misuse. By staying current, the team can maintain data accuracy, improve customer interactions, and optimize sales processes, all of which contribute to a more professional and compliant operation. Incorrect approach is analysis. Adopting a reactive approach to software updates, only investigating changes when a specific problem arises, is professionally unacceptable. This failure stems from a lack of proactive engagement, leading to potential inefficiencies and missed opportunities. It also risks non-compliance with any implicit guidelines or best practices that HubSpot may have updated, potentially impacting data management or reporting accuracy. Focusing solely on completing basic HubSpot Academy courses without exploring advanced modules or community discussions is also a suboptimal approach. While foundational knowledge is important, it can lead to a superficial understanding of the software's full capabilities. This can result in the team not fully leveraging the tool, missing out on advanced features that could optimize their sales process, and potentially falling behind industry best practices. Ignoring HubSpot community forums and user groups entirely represents a significant missed opportunity for collaborative learning and problem-solving. These platforms offer insights into real-world applications, troubleshooting tips, and emerging best practices shared by other users. Failing to engage means the team operates in isolation, potentially repeating common mistakes or failing to discover innovative ways to use the software, which is a failure in professional development and process optimization. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a continuous improvement mindset when using software tools like HubSpot. This involves a structured approach to learning and adaptation. 1. Schedule regular time for exploring new features and updates. 2. Prioritize relevant HubSpot Academy courses, starting with foundational and progressing to advanced topics. 3. Actively participate in HubSpot community forums and user groups to learn from peers and experts. 4. Regularly review and update internal sales processes to align with new software capabilities and best practices. This proactive and engaged approach ensures the team remains proficient, efficient, and compliant, maximizing the value derived from the HubSpot sales software. Question 16. Strategic planning requires a deep understanding of how to leverage CRM software like HubSpot to meet the unique demands of specific industries. Considering the regulatory framework governing sales practices and data handling, which of the following approaches best demonstrates a strategic and compliant method for tailoring HubSpot sales software for a particular industry? Option A. Implementing a broad range of HubSpot's advanced features and automation tools across all industries to maximize software utilization. Option B. Prioritizing the adoption of the latest HubSpot updates and integrations without assessing their specific relevance or compliance implications for the target industry. Option C. Conducting thorough research into the target industry's operational workflows, regulatory requirements, and customer engagement norms to strategically customize HubSpot's features and reporting accordingly. Option D. Focusing exclusively on the core contact and deal management functionalities of HubSpot, assuming these are sufficient for any industry. Correct answer is A. Implementing a broad range of HubSpot's advanced features and automation tools across all industries to maximize software utilization. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a sales professional to navigate the complexities of tailoring a powerful CRM tool like HubSpot to the unique demands of different industries. The challenge lies in moving beyond generic CRM usage to a strategic application that leverages industry-specific features and reporting, while remaining compliant with the overarching regulatory framework governing sales practices and data handling within the specified jurisdiction. Misinterpreting or underutilizing industry-specific capabilities can lead to inefficient sales processes, missed opportunities, and potentially non-compliance if data is handled inappropriately or reporting is misleading. Careful judgment is required to balance the technical capabilities of HubSpot with the nuanced operational and regulatory realities of each target industry. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough understanding of the target industry's specific regulatory landscape, operational workflows, and customer engagement norms. This deep dive allows for the strategic customization of HubSpot's features, such as tailoring lead scoring models to industry-specific conversion metrics, configuring custom objects to track industry-relevant data points, e.g., compliance certifications for a financial services firm, project stages for a construction company, and developing industry-specific reporting dashboards that align with key performance indicators and regulatory reporting requirements. This proactive and informed customization ensures that HubSpot not only supports, but actively enhances the sales process in a compliant and effective manner, maximizing its value for that particular industry. This aligns with the ethical obligation to provide accurate and relevant solutions to clients, and to operate within the bounds of any applicable industry regulations. Incorrect approaches analysis. Applying a one-size-fits-all approach to HubSpot customization without considering industry-specific needs or regulatory nuances is an incorrect approach. This fails to leverage the full potential of the CRM and can lead to inefficiencies. Ethically, it can result in providing a suboptimal solution to clients, potentially leading them to non-compliance if the CRM's reporting or data management features are not aligned with their industry-specific obligations. Focusing solely on implementing HubSpot's most advanced features without understanding their relevance or applicability to a specific industry's operational realities or regulatory framework is also an incorrect approach. This can lead to overcomplication, user adoption issues, and a failure to address the core business needs. From a regulatory perspective, implementing features that generate or manage data in a way that is not compliant with industry-specific data privacy or reporting laws would be a significant failure. Prioritizing generic sales automation features over industry-specific customization, even if they appear more broadly applicable, is another incorrect approach. While automation is valuable, its effectiveness is amplified when tailored to the specific context of an industry. Without this tailoring, automation might not address critical industry pain points or regulatory requirements, leading to a less effective and potentially non-compliant sales strategy. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a client-centric and regulatory-aware approach. This involves first conducting a comprehensive discovery phase to understand the client's industry, their specific business challenges, their existing workflows, and crucially, the regulatory environment in which they operate. This understanding should then inform the strategic customization of HubSpot. The decision-making process should prioritize solutions that not only enhance sales efficiency, but also ensure compliance with all relevant laws and guidelines. Regular review and adaptation of the HubSpot configuration based on evolving industry, best practices, and regulatory changes are also essential components of professional practice. Question 17. Research into best practices for sales and marketing alignment reveals that a critical component for maximizing conversion rates and ensuring efficient resource allocation is the lead handoff process. Considering the need for a structured and compliant approach, which of the following strategies best exemplifies a robust lead handoff process that integrates lead qualification, scoring, and service-level agreements, SLAs, to foster effective collaboration and closed-loop reporting? Option A. Marketing implements a lead scoring model based on engagement and demographic data, passing only those leads that meet a predefined score threshold to sales, along with clearly defined SLAs for sales follow-up and feedback. Option B. Marketing automatically passes all generated leads to sales as soon as they are captured, with sales responsible for qualifying and nurturing them further. Option C. Marketing focuses solely on generating a high volume of leads, with no specific criteria for qualification or scoring, and relies on sales to filter and pursue them based on their own discretion. Option D. Sales representatives are encouraged to proactively reach out to any contact in the CRM database, regardless of their origin or engagement level, to identify potential opportunities. Correct answer is B. Marketing automatically passes all generated leads to sales as soon as they are captured, with sales responsible for qualifying and nurturing them further. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in sales and marketing operations, ensuring a seamless and effective lead handoff process that aligns with regulatory compliance and best practices for customer engagement. The professional challenge lies in balancing the speed and volume of lead generation with the quality and relevance of information passed to the sales team, while also adhering to data privacy principles. Misalignment can lead to wasted sales efforts, poor customer experiences, and potential breaches of data handling regulations. Careful judgment is required to define clear criteria for lead qualification and scoring, establish robust service-level agreements, SLAs, and implement reporting mechanisms that provide visibility into the entire lead lifecycle. The correct approach involves establishing a well-defined lead qualification process integrated with lead scoring, supported by clear SLAs for the sales team's follow-up. This ensures that sales representatives receive leads that have a higher probability of conversion, having been pre-qualified by marketing based on defined criteria and engagement levels. The integration of marketing automation with CRM, facilitated by shared goals and metrics, allows for closed-loop reporting, which is crucial for demonstrating marketing's ROI and identifying areas for process improvement. This approach aligns with the principle of responsible data handling and customer engagement, as it focuses on delivering relevant information to prospects at the right time, thereby respecting their time and preferences. From a regulatory perspective, this structured approach helps in demonstrating due diligence in lead management, minimizing the risk of noncompliance with data protection laws by ensuring leads are handled appropriately throughout their life cycle. An incorrect approach that relies solely on marketing passing all generated leads to sales without robust qualification or scoring fails to respect the sales team's time and resources, leading to inefficiency and potentially poor customer interactions. This can also result in a lack of accountability and visibility into marketing's effectiveness. Another incorrect approach that prioritizes speed over accuracy in lead qualification, passing unqualified leads that do not meet defined engagement or demographic criteria, can lead to a high volume of low-quality leads. This not only wastes sales efforts, but can also damage the company's reputation and lead to customer frustration, potentially violating principles of fair and honest commercial practices. Furthermore, failing to establish clear SLAs for sales follow-up on marketing qualified leads creates a bottleneck, where marketing's efforts are not effectively leveraged, leading to lost opportunities and a breakdown in the sales and marketing alignment. Professional decision-making in such situations requires a systematic evaluation of the entire lead lifecycle. This involves defining clear, measurable criteria for lead qualification and scoring in collaboration with both sales and marketing. Establishing mutually agreed-upon SLAs for lead follow-up and response times is essential. Implementing integrated systems that enable closed-loop reporting and provide visibility into lead progression from initial engagement to closed deal is critical for continuous improvement and demonstrating the value of both teams. Regular communication and feedback loops between sales and marketing are paramount to ensure the processes remain effective and aligned with business objectives. Question 18. Market research demonstrates that personalized communication significantly increases prospect engagement rates. A sales representative is tasked with reaching out to a new list of 500 potential leads using HubSpot sales software. They have access to prospect data including industry, company size, and recent job title changes. Which of the following approaches best balances effective sales messaging, personalization, and adherence to communication best practices and potential regulatory considerations? Option A. Send a generic, unpersonalized email blast to all 500 leads, followed by daily follow-up emails for a week regardless of engagement. Option B. Immediately begin calling each prospect multiple times a day without any prior email contact, leaving lengthy voicemails detailing product features. Option C. Utilize HubSpot's email automation to send a highly personalized email to each prospect, referencing their specific industry and company size, followed by a targeted phone call within 48 hours if no email response is received, and a concise, relevant voicemail if the call goes unanswered. Option D. Manually craft a unique, lengthy email for each prospect, spending over an hour per email, and then wait for them to respond before considering any further outreach. The correct answer is C. Utilize HubSpot's email automation to send a highly personalized email to each prospect, referencing their specific industry and company size, followed by a targeted phone call within 48 hours if no email response is received, and a concise, relevant voicemail if the call goes unanswered. Explanation. This scenario presents a common challenge in sales outreach, balancing efficiency with personalization to maximize engagement and compliance. The professional difficulty lies in identifying the optimal communication strategy that respects recipient preferences and regulatory guidelines while still achieving sales objectives. Over-reliance on automation without personalization can lead to low engagement and potential violations of communication laws, while excessive manual personalization can be inefficient. Careful judgment is required to strike this balance. The correct approach involves leveraging HubSpot's communication automation features to send personalized emails based on prospect data, supplemented by targeted phone calls and voicemails where appropriate. This strategy is ethically sound and aligns with best practices because it respects the prospect's time and engagement level by providing relevant information. Personalization, even when automated, demonstrates an understanding of the prospect's needs, fostering rapport and increasing the likelihood of a positive response. Furthermore, by tracking communication metrics, sales professionals can refine their outreach, ensuring they are not engaging in spamming or intrusive practices, which is crucial for maintaining compliance with communication regulations and ethical standards. An incorrect approach that relies solely on mass, unpersonalized email blasts fails because it treats all prospects identically, ignoring individual needs and preferences. This can lead to high unsubscribe rates and a perception of spam, potentially violating regulations that govern unsolicited commercial communications. Another incorrect approach that involves aggressive, frequent phone calls without prior email engagement or consideration for prospect availability is also problematic. This can be perceived as harassment and may violate telemarketing regulations or simply alienate prospects, damaging the company's reputation. A third incorrect approach that neglects to track communication metrics means the sales team cannot identify what is working and what is not, leading to inefficient resource allocation and a higher risk of inadvertently violating communication best practices or regulations through repeated ineffective or intrusive outreach. Professionals should adopt a decision-making framework that prioritizes understanding the prospect's journey and preferences. This involves segmenting audiences, utilizing CRM data for personalization, and employing a multi-channel approach that respects opt-out preferences and engagement signals. Regularly analyzing communication metrics allows for continuous improvement and ensures adherence to ethical and regulatory standards. Question 19. Comparative studies suggest that the most effective and compliant lead generation strategies for HubSpot sales software users involve a nuanced approach to identifying and engaging potential clients. Which of the following best represents this optimal strategy? Option A. Purchasing large, unverified lists of potential leads and initiating high-volume, generic cold email campaigns to maximize initial contact opportunities. Option B. Developing a granular ideal customer profile (ICP) based on detailed firmographic and technographic data, then employing targeted content marketing and social selling to attract and engage prospects, ensuring all outreach is personalized and provides clear value. Option C. Utilizing automated tools to scrape contact information from professional networking sites and immediately sending unsolicited sales pitches without prior engagement or segmentation. Option D. Focusing exclusively on generating the highest possible number of leads through any available means, without significant consideration for lead quality, data accuracy, or prospect engagement. The correct answer is B. Developing a granular ideal customer profile (ICP) based on detailed firmographic and technographic data, then employing targeted content marketing and social selling to attract and engage prospects, ensuring all outreach is personalized and provides clear value. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in sales prospecting, where the urgency to generate leads can conflict with the need for ethical and compliant data handling. Professionals must balance aggressive outreach with respecting privacy and avoiding misrepresentation, especially when leveraging automated tools. The challenge lies in identifying the ideal customer profile without resorting to overly broad or intrusive methods, and ensuring that lead generation strategies align with HubSpot's terms of service and general best practices for digital marketing. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach prioritizes building a highly specific ideal customer profile (ICP) based on verifiable firmographic and technographic data, then using targeted content marketing and social selling techniques to attract and engage these prospects. This method ensures that outreach is relevant and valuable, minimizing the risk of spam complaints or regulatory violations. It aligns with HubSpot's emphasis on inbound marketing principles, which advocate for attracting customers through valuable content and personalized experiences rather than disruptive tactics. This approach also respects data privacy by focusing on publicly available or opt-in information, thereby adhering to ethical standards and avoiding potential breaches of trust or regulatory noncompliance. Incorrect approaches analysis. An approach that relies heavily on purchasing broad, unverified lead lists and employing aggressive, untargeted cold emailing without prior segmentation or personalization is ethically flawed and potentially violates anti-spam regulations. This method often leads to low conversion rates, damages brand reputation, and can result in being flagged as spam. Another incorrect approach involves using automated tools to scrape personal contact information from professional networking sites without explicit consent or a clear value proposition for the prospect. This can be seen as a violation of privacy and terms of service for those platforms. It may also contravene data protection laws if not handled with extreme care and transparency. A third incorrect approach that focuses solely on lead volume without considering lead quality or nurturing pathways is inefficient and wasteful. It fails to build meaningful relationships and can lead to a high churn rate of unqualified leads, ultimately hindering long-term sales success and misallocating resources. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a data-driven, value-centric approach to prospecting. This involves clearly defining the ICP, leveraging tools like LinkedIn Sales Navigator for targeted research, and employing content marketing and social selling to attract and engage prospects. Automation should be used judiciously to enhance efficiency, not to bypass ethical considerations or regulatory requirements. Regular review of prospecting performance metrics, including conversion rates and lead quality, is crucial for continuous improvement and ensuring alignment with business objectives and ethical standards. Question 20. Governance review demonstrates that the sales team has rapidly adopted various HubSpot Sales Hub features, including email tracking, automated sequences, and deal automation workflows, to enhance productivity. However, there is a lack of documented procedures and explicit configurations to ensure these features align with data privacy regulations and internal ethical guidelines regarding the collection, processing, and storage of prospect and customer data. Which approach best ensures ongoing compliance and responsible use of HubSpot Sales Hub? Option A. Conduct a comprehensive audit of all HubSpot Sales Hub features currently in use and those planned for adoption, mapping their data handling practices against relevant data privacy regulations and internal ethical policies. Implement necessary configuration changes and develop clear usage guidelines for the sales team, focusing on consent mechanisms for tracking, data minimization in automation, and secure data storage. Option B. Empower individual sales representatives to determine the appropriate use of HubSpot Sales Hub features based on their understanding of customer interactions and general ethical considerations, with minimal oversight from management. Option C. Rely on the HubSpot Sales Hub's built-in compliance features and assume that standard configurations are sufficient, providing only basic training to the sales team on general data protection principles without specific guidance on tool usage. Option D. Immediately disable all HubSpot Sales Hub features that involve any form of data tracking or automation, and instruct the sales team to revert to manual processes until a full review can be completed, prioritizing risk avoidance over immediate productivity. The correct answer is A. Conduct a comprehensive audit of all HubSpot Sales Hub features currently in use and those planned for adoption, mapping their data handling practices against relevant data privacy regulations and internal ethical policies. Implement necessary configuration changes and develop clear usage guidelines for the sales team, focusing on consent mechanisms for tracking, data minimization in automation, and secure data storage. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in sales operations where the rapid adoption of new tools, like HubSpot Sales Hub, outpaces the establishment of clear governance and compliance protocols. The professional challenge lies in balancing the drive for sales efficiency and productivity with the imperative to adhere to data privacy regulations and internal ethical guidelines. Without a structured approach to evaluating and implementing these tools, organizations risk non-compliance, data breaches, and reputational damage. Careful judgment is required to ensure that the chosen methods for leveraging Sales Hub features align with both business objectives and regulatory requirements. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a comprehensive review of HubSpot Sales Hub features against established data privacy regulations and internal ethical guidelines. This includes understanding how features like email tracking, meeting scheduling, and sales automation workflows handle personal data. The justification for this approach is rooted in the principle of privacy by design and privacy by default, which are fundamental to data protection laws. By proactively assessing and configuring features to comply with regulations, e.g., obtaining consent for email tracking, ensuring data minimization in automation workflows, The organization demonstrates a commitment to responsible data handling and mitigates legal and ethical risks. This aligns with best practices for data governance and ensures that the sales team operates within a compliant framework. Incorrect approach is analysis. One incorrect approach is to prioritize immediate feature adoption and sales productivity gains without a thorough understanding of the data privacy implications of each HubSpot Sales Hub feature. This failure to conduct due diligence can lead to inadvertent violations of data protection laws, such as collecting or processing personal data without proper consent or for unauthorized purposes. Represents a reactive rather than proactive stance on compliance. Another incorrect approach is to implement HubSpot Sales Hub features based solely on vendor recommendations or industry trends, without tailoring configurations to specific organizational needs and regulatory obligations. This can result in overcollection of data, inadequate security measures, or the use of features in ways that are not permissible under applicable laws. It neglects the critical step of contextualizing tool usage within the organization's unique compliance landscape. A third incorrect approach is to delegate the responsibility for ensuring compliance of HubSpot Sales Hub usage to individual sales representatives without providing adequate training or oversight. This approach places an undue burden on frontline staff and increases the likelihood of errors and noncompliance. It fails to establish a clear accountability framework and a centralized mechanism for managing data protection risks associated with the sales technology stack. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a structured, risk-based approach to evaluating and implementing sales technology. This involves forming a cross-functional team, including legal, compliance, IT, and sales leadership, to assess new tools. The process should include a data protection impact assessment, DPIA, for features that involve significant data processing. Regular training and clear policies on data handling within the sales tools are essential. Furthermore, ongoing monitoring and auditing of tool usage are necessary to ensure continued compliance and adapt to evolving regulatory landscapes.